أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
بسم الله. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله جزا الله أن محمدا ما وآله صلى الله عليه وسلم. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Peace and blessing to our beloved Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Indeed, it's a great ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a great blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today we all gathered here to fulfill His command. It's just a ni'mah day by day. If you look at it, all we could do is thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything. You know, there are people out there who have tendency, including myself and everybody else, we are so deluded in the dunya that we have tendency to forget remembering to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His ni'mah, calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, we have so much responsibilities on our shoulder day to day. If not, then we create some other activities of hanging out with our friends late nights. You know, if you're teenagers, if you're youngsters, you don't have anything else to do. What we do is that we create something else besides fulfilling the commands of Allah, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We tend to include other activities of dunya in our schedule to entertain ourselves and keep ourselves proactive, productive and activity into it. So pretend like, hey, you know, I got a lot of things to do. But when it comes to reminder from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, someone reminds you of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then the responsibilities of fulfilling the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes to you, then you will come. It's an intent, human nature to come up an excuse saying that, hey, you know, I have so much on my plate, I have so much to do, but how can I fulfill the commands of Allah? What can I do to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I will try my best, yet that whole spectrum of fulfilling the commands of Allah, it becomes a secondary. It's never primary, it's always secondary. Now when the age goes by, once you get older and older and older, once you hit 50, 60 and 70 and 80, if Allah gives more mercy upon you and give rahmah upon you, then you might go more further than that. Then you realize that I should have made Allah my primary first. Then I should have done everything in dunya. There are people that you will interact and you will run into it, that when they hear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands comes in, they will drop everything and fulfill the commands of Allah. So the reason I wanted to bring this up, my close friend in Chicago, his father passed away last night. As being older, growing up, looking up to him all the time, we used to go to his house and hang out. I noticed that he was so into, doing other activities, community work. He used to go out there, hang out with his friends. He's really jolly person. And I noticed that when it comes to the prayer time, he used to just get up and walk away because he needs to go pray first. Regardless of who's around him, it doesn't matter to him at all. And me growing up when I was 10, 9 years old, I used to see that. I was like, man has so much discipline on him, in himself, that he used to get up for prayer regardless of where he's. It doesn't matter. He's traveling, he stops middle of the nowhere, stops the car, pull over and make his prayer. He never initiate to tell anybody. All he was doing is like, this is what I was born to do and this is what I'm going to do. And he passed away yesterday. And then I cried. I said, you know what? What a good man left. A good man. May Allah give him maghfirah and grant him Jannah. All you could do is reflect upon these people's legacy, even though he was no man. He was just a normal person. But he affected few people around him, even being a kid. It affected me because when I was a kid, that's the only thing I remember. If I think about him, that's the only reminds me about that one thing, that he used to just get up and pray when it comes to prayers. Where have we gone wrong our side? That's the question that we should ask ourselves. So my discussion for today and bring your attention is that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about what motivates you, what inspires you and brings you some activity into the pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what inspires you? People say sometimes, I just don't get inspired, I just not motivated. I hear the same thing over and over again. Some will say, so-and-so lecture, so-and-so sheikh, if I listen to the lectures, it motivates me, I get excited, it pumped me up a little bit, and then I fall back to it again. So everyone have a different way of motivating themselves, spiritually, different ways to increase themselves. But I wanted to talk about, there are some people out there might get encouraged and motivate themselves by listening to the journey of Jannah. Because that's the ultimate goal that we need to reach. And that's our home. The actual home is in Jannah. And that's what I wanted to share that with you. So if you think about something, and then if you have a husnul dhan with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, having a good hope with Allah, then you should have a good hope with Allah that Allah will enter you Jannah. May Allah give us the ability to enter Jannah. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. So, what's the Torah? Beginning part of this is that when they Assalamu alaikum, the greetings. My Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaching us that how can you greet each other? And then we all know the first thing that's growing up, we teach our kids is that you have to say Assalamu alaikum. That's the first thing, right? Why is that? Because that salam greetings is so powerful and so beautiful that it utilizes when you go to the gates of Jannah. The angels, the gatekeepers will say salam to you. They will say assalamu alaikum, same salam that you and I used to say in dunya. And then when you enter the Jannah, there will people that you meet inside the Jannah will say the same salam, right? And then the whole greetings is more powerful itself. Like example, Quran mentioned clearly. It says that وَسِيقَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, right? Surah Zumar, amazing, powerful. All the surahs are powerful, but Surah Zumar is completely different level. But what I'm trying to give you is that salam even mentioned in the Quran, that he says, وَسِيقَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا رَبَّهُمْ إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ الزُّمَرَى حَتَّى إِذَا جَاءُوهَا وَفُتِحَتْ أَبْوَابُهَا وَقَالَ لَهُمْ خَزَنَتُهَا سَلَامٌ عَلَيْكُمْ طِبْتُمْ فَادْخُلُوهَا خَالِدِينَ. says the people who please Allah, the people that literally who was conscious of Allah, mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then there's groups of people will go to Jannah. There's a group of people, when they come to in front of the gate of Jannah, the angels will say, Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. You are conscious of Allah. Allah was pleased with you and you are here today. And they are welcoming you as a reception. They say, come in. The gatekeepers will congratulate you on that glide tidings. You walk into the gates. The gates are so big that one gate, if you start from here to the other gate, right, it takes 40 years to reach to end of the gate. That means we have multiple gates of Jannah. You know, they say that there are multiple gates of Jannah. So you just want to make dua to Allah that Allah could give you at least out of all the gates, just allow us to enter one gate. And that gate, it could be anything. You could be gates in fasting, worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your zakat, your charity. You could pick any of them categories that you accelerate into that, and then you could enter the gate from there. Once you enter the gate, there's another beautiful things. You know, there's a place in Jannah is so phenomenal that they will tell you into the Jannah without forever. There is no limited time in there. And once you into the Jannah, it's just forever you are. And then, you know, entering the Jannah, they will say that you have survived 50,000 years of Day of Judgment. It's a very sour and then sad moments out there. So now you don't have no worries. Once a moment you into the Jannah, all your worries will go off. I'm like, you don't have no worries at all. You're going to be so peaceful in mind that you don't have to think about anything out there. They say that 50,000, Day of Judgment with 50,000 years, everyone is worried about it. Everyone worried about themselves, saying that what's going to happen at that moment, what's going to happen with me? Am I going to the wrong side, left side or right side? What's going to happen? When you see a Kiram and Katibin gives you your own kitabs in your hand, and you will say, man, these are my deeds, where I'm going to be ending. Only we could depend on Allah's mercy on that day. Allah's mercy will take you to Jannah. That's the only way. And then that mercy of Allah will make you enter the Jannah. Then you're going to be like, oh my God, all my worries are gone. No worries, 50,000. That's why the gatekeepers are welcoming you. You survived the Day of Judgment. It's a huge accomplishment. Huge. You could think about it. Maybe it's if you think about it, and during the daytime, you know, in a work in dunya, someone accomplished something. When they graduate, say, man, 4 years in college, you survived, you did a great job. It's a huge accomplishment. You did your, you know, master's degree or doctorate degree, any degrees you go forward, you survived, you did a great job of studies, you got a huge accomplishment. But here, 50,000 years. You're surviving on a Day of Judgment when Allah's mercy falls upon you and you get to enter the Jannah. That's just impeccable. Can you imagine that? Imagine at that moment. And the gatekeepers are telling you, welcome. You did a great job. Now it's time for you to no worries. Once you enter, then it's beautiful. You know, Allah already created for us a palace in Jannah. There's a palace for everyone in Jannah. Everyone. There's a different levels. There's so many levels in Jannah. And then based on your actions and deeds and based on Allah's mercy, you will find yourself in those levels. Once you get inside the Jannah, you go to your palace. They say that you know your palace so well and so aware of your path that you don't need directions, anything. You close your eyes and you enter. You go to the palace right away because you know exactly where that is. The meaning of that is that the ultimate house is in Jannah. And that's what we need to reach. And that's how you know that's exactly, when someone says, any kid out there or anybody else, hey, can you close your eyes and give a direction to go to your house without any looking GPS, anything like that at all? Can you walk directly to your directions? This is, yes, I can. Maybe years later you might forget because your memory lack of it, right? But in Jannah, there is no such thing like that. And in Jannah, when you enter, your age will be from 30 to 33 between this. And then the young age, you will never get old. You will never die. Your life will be unlimitedly out there, right? So the key to understand is that the beauty entering the Jannah is just impeccable. And that's what we need to achieve. How do you do that? That's the question we should ask. Just following the commands of Allah, pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number one. Once we're able to do that, then only you could able to see the fruits in Jannah. And then you could say, Ya Allah, on a day of judgment, when accountability comes upon us, then at least we could say, Ya Allah, I tried. I had a good intention. I tried my best, what I can do. And then with your mercy, I could be able to enter Jannah. That's the key. And then there was a Quran mentioned about the rivers in Jannah. There are 4 rivers in Jannah. All right. And then they will never contaminate. And then there's 4 rivers. They say that if you take a drink one time, and then second time you drink the same from the same river, it will be a completely different taste, amazing, more amazing taste out there. Every time you drink, the taste will be better than the before. That's just the beautiful. That's the beauty of this. And then they say that, there are colors, and then the clothes that you win. On the day of judgment, we're naked. But when you enter the Jannah, you will get clothes on. And the clothes will be so many different colors that you could pick. It's like you could choose any color out there. Yes, for the sisters as well too. And there are so many hijabs will be for different colors will be there. They could match themselves. It's so much varieties out there. When you enter the palace, you will see your spouse. Everyone will be married in Jannah. No one will be single, left out. The way people left out in dunya being single. May Allah make it easy for them. May Allah give them provide them spouse as well too. But in Jannah, everyone will be with spouse, right? But the key is that the beauty of Jannah, my Nabi Rasulullah describing this Jannah in detail, so then you and I could motivate ourselves to do good. Human tendency is that we're looking for reward. If we don't see the reward of our actions, then we don't get motivated to do so. That's why if you notice that in corporate world and everybody else, they get every end of the year, they give you bonuses. They give you some kind of, some bonuses, some reward to it. You did a great job this year. If you do it next year, we give you more. They use the same strategy, right? But my Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Nabi Rasulullah gave a great description saying that you want the reward, that reward is completely different. You can't even imagine that. And that's the reward that I want to talk about, is that we should encourage our children to talk about Jannah. Discuss with them Jannah. Tell them what's inside the Jannah. So that way you could learn, you could motivate yourself, and then you could able to encourage your children to get inspired to achieve being in the Jannah. That's the whole key. At the same time, I also wanted to ask, people do ask questions. I'm sure this question has always been raised for many of us, is that, especially our youth, look, going to Jannah, you need to have iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you don't have iman, then it's only Allah's mercy will help you on that. Iman is the key. We say as a Muslim, the only path to Jannah is Islam. Now, people say there are so many non-Muslims out there. There's so many people who doesn't believe in Allah, right? But they do such a good work. They are a good citizen. They have a good personality. They do such a good work for the humanity and community out there. And they're so generous. They're always taking care of the people. It's very simple. As a believing, our aqidah is that the path to Jannah is having iman in our heart. That's the only thing. So we should also encourage ourselves to make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the ability before we leave this dunya, say the kalima, have iman in our heart. I'm telling you, it's very difficult. There are people who pass away. You could ask this. I mean, when they're in a dead bed, they tell you there are people out there who wrote books on this. When they read, when in dead bed, they ask them questions. How do you feel? He said the shaitan is right next to me, and he's telling me to disbelieve. At that dead, you are having the last breath, leaving this dunya. Shaitan come and tells you to leave the deen of Allah. That's just one of the most horrific time period. You don't want to face that. So what do? In order to do that, you need to be strong faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have building the faith in Allah so strong that a moment will come to you, then you could able to reject that. That's the key. And with that iman, Allah's mercy will be upon you. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to achieve the goals of akhirah, so we could enter the Jannah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the evil and shar in this dunya. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our progeny, our kids, from all the shar and all the the evilness out there. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep it safe and everyone out there. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give shifa to the older people who's been sick, who's not able to come to the masjid and pray to Allah, but they want to pray, but they're still having difficulty to pray inside the house. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them shifa. As older they get, they need our du'as. We should make dua for them, and we should ask them to make dua for us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them the best health. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the older people and anybody, when they leave this dunya, at least they say kalima on the tongue and have iman in their heart. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and follow the sunnah of our Nabi Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well too. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for our shortcoming. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our sins that we commit in privately and publicly. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Innahu al-Ghafur Rahim. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وصل على المؤمن والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وعذاب القبر وعذاب العشر اللهم أجرنا من النار اللهم أجرنا من النار اللهم أجرنا من النار يا رب العالمين إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون أقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
استووا أقيموا صفكم. أقيموا صفكم. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين
والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفر إنه كان توابا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.